This is a bucket, a plain, ordinary wooden bucket, the kind you'd use to carry water, worth almost nothing, completely unremarkable in every possible way. In 1325, soldiers from the city of Modena stole this bucket from a well in Bologna. Bologna demanded it back. Modena said no. 2,000 soldiers died in the war that followed, over a bucket. This is the story of the War of the Bucket, and it is 100% real. Before we get to the bucket, and we will absolutely get to the bucket, we need to understand what medieval Italy was actually like. Because without the context, the War of the Bucket just seems insane. With the context, it seems slightly less insane. In the 14th century, Italy was not a country. It was a collection of city-states, each one essentially its own mini-nation with its own army. It had its own government and its own fierce, burning, passionate hatred of its neighbours. And layered on top of all the local rivalries was a grand ideological divide that had been tearing Europe apart for 2 centuries. The Guelphs versus the Ghibellines. The two sides. Guelphs supported the Pope, generally merchants and city dwellers. Bologna was Guelph. Ghibellines supported the Holy Roman Emperor, generally old noble families. Modena was Ghibelline. Bologna and Modena were already bitter rivals before any bucket was involved. They shared a border, competed for trade, and had been skirmishing for years. They were the kind of neighbours who had been in a cold war for so long that nobody could even remember what originally started it. And then, in 1325, a group of Modenese soldiers decided to raid a Bologna border post. And while they were there, someone, and we do not know who and we do not know why, grabbed a wooden bucket from a well. The soldiers brought the bucket back to Modena as a trophy. A joke. A bit of fun at Bologna's expense. Bologna was not amused. Bologna sent an official diplomatic envoy to Modena demanding the immediate return of the bucket. Modena, and this is the key decision, said no. Not because the bucket had any practical value, but because giving it back would mean admitting Bologna had the right to demand things. It was a matter of honour. Bologna escalated. They appealed to the Pope, who sided with Bologna and ordered Modena to return the bucket immediately. Modena appealed to the Holy Roman Emperor, who sided with Modena and told Bologna to back off. Both cities began raising armies over a bucket. On November 15, 1325, the two sides met at the Battle of Zappolino, one of the largest battles in medieval Italian history. Bologna brought around 30,000 soldiers. Modena fielded roughly 5,000. By any reasonable military calculation, Bologna should have won easily. They did not. Modena's smaller but better organised cavalry punched straight through Bologna's lines in the opening assault. The Bolognese forces broke and fled. The battle lasted barely an hour. It was an extraordinary military humiliation for one of the most powerful cities in northern Italy. They still didn't get the bucket back. In terms of actual political outcomes, the War of the Bucket changed almost nothing. No territory changed hands. No major political agreements were signed. Bologna and Modena went back to their ongoing low-level rivalry, occasionally erupting into further skirmishes over the following decades. 2,000 people were dead. Thousands more had been wounded. An enormous amount of money had been spent on armies and logistics, and the bucket stayed in Modena. The bucket still exists. It has been kept in Modena for 7 centuries. For many years, it was displayed in the Ghirlandina Tower, Modena's famous medieval bell tower. It has since been moved to the Palazzo Comunale, Modena's town hall, where it remains to this day. It is, by all accounts, an extremely ordinary wooden bucket. Battered, old, unremarkable. Bologna has never officially stopped claiming it. As recently as the modern era, Bolognese politicians have made ceremonial demands for its return. Modena's response? No. The War of the Bucket is funny. It's objectively funny. But it's also a perfect illustration of history. Wars are almost never actually about what they claim to be about. The bucket wasn't the point. The bucket was never the point. The point was honour, pride, and the fundamental human inability to back down once you've publicly committed to a position. The bucket was just the excuse. The War of the Bucket, 2 cities, 2,000 dead, One ordinary bucket that has sat in a town hall for 700 years while the city next door still wants it back. Subscribe for more. History is full of stories like this. What's the most absurd reason for a conflict you've ever heard of? Let me know in the comments. Nothing will surprise me.